All right. It's me again. Um, I didn't have nothing to do, sitting here waiting for my rice to cook. So I figured I could do like my first video log, just kind of giving a backstory on how we got to this point, as far as in our faith. So my wife and I, when we first met, we were like everybody else, celebrating Christmas, Easter, and every other so-called holy day that the United States offers. It wasn't until 2000, I want to say 16, where we went to a friend of ours. He was starting up a church, and another friend of ours who had came to visit named Nook or Edward Mitchell. And we had went up for prayer, and as we went up for prayer, he turned to me and my wife, and he was saying that God was about to remove the blinders off of our eyes so we can see the truth of things and just see what things really are. Of course, at that time, we did not know what that meant or that we would be here at this point. But so we continued on our day, and then, of course, weeks, months, years, and slowly we started digging more into the Bible, and I started looking at this ministry called I believe it's 119 Ministries on YouTube, and they opened my eyes to first the Sabbath day, because at this time we were not observing the Sabbath day. We were just going to church on Sundays, like I said, like everybody else, traditional. Um, I started studying them and studying the Sabbath day, and then I started cross-referencing and looking at the Bible and seeing if what everything they were saying was matching up. And I thought I was going to prove them wrong, but I couldn't. Everything that they were saying was accurate. From that point on, we started observing the Sabbath day. At first, from my wife, there's a little kickback because of just traditional mindset. It's understandable. It wasn't anything bad, but she didn't understand where like everything was coming from. She didn't understand why things were changing from either how things been or how things have been taught to her. So that took some time to reveal, and of course her own time in prayer. And after a while, she was mentally and spiritually on board. Before that, it was just kind of going through the motions on the Sabbath day. All right, so from the Sabbath day, from that point on, we just again taking and weighing and comparing everything to the Bible, to the scriptures, and we started observing the other holy days or feast days that are mentioned in the Bible that are supposed to be observed for everlasting generations, is the word that you'll find in the Bible. So we're still trying to figure out the ins and outs of some of the holy days. It first started with me praying for the correct calendar, because the Gregorian calendar that we use in the United States, we cannot use that calendar when we're trying to understand or like pinpoint Yahuwah's Moedim, like his feast days. We have to go off the calendar that he gave us, which is using the sun, the moon, and the stars. I haven't figured out the stars point, but as far as the sun and moon, that's where I'm at right now. The Gregorian calendar just goes strictly off the solar. So, for example, like it's just continuation. When you're looking at the solar and the lunar, when you're using both of those calendars, the Jewish community, they look at the first like sliver of light that shows up in the moon, and then that starts their day one. Within certain scriptures, let's see, I want to say Enoch is a big one, and then Ecclesiasticus. So not Ecclesiastes, but Ecclesiasticus. That's going to be in the Apocrypha. So those two, they mention the new moon, and they mention the moon period, but they mention how that is the beginning of a new month. All right. Again, comparing it to the Gregorian calendar, it just continues on. It goes from say 1 month ends at 31, and then it continue on with 1, 2, 3. To whereas when you're observing Yah's calendar, you have to factor in the moon as well. So a new moon is the start of a new month. And actually today is the Sabbath day for us. And I'll get more in detail with that probably in another video. But in order to understand Yahuwah's feasts and his holy days and try to observe them, you have to go off the right calendar. It takes a little digging in. Please, by any means, like, challenge whatever I tell you. But definitely look into it. I've done the research, I've done the studying and history and the calendars and how it evolved and got us to the point to where we are today. So I'm pretty solid as far as having my family observe the Sabbath, the holy days, and the days that we choose to observe them on. Not by our, of course, by our own decision, but just by the calendar that we have used based on the moon and based on the sun. And yeah, that's where we are today as far as holy observances. But 119, it was pretty much the entrance of a rabbit hole for us. It started with that, and then it just took us more into depth. Now understanding that the commandments was like never abolished. It's heavily taught in a lot of Christian churches and communities that Jesus fulfilled, like that's the big word he uses, the fulfilled word. Jesus fulfilled the law, the Torah. So because of that, the Old Testament is like obsolete. Like it doesn't bear or carry any weight. So believed. And I believed that for the longest until I had my eyes opened by 119 Ministries. During that time, I was on a manhood like search as well. I just had this feeling in my spirit during that time, and like I could be doing more. I believe there was more to life than just, you know what I'm saying, going to work, paying the bills, and like taking care of the family. And that's where I was at that time. I want to say it was 2016. So from there, I was praying hard. I had this feeling in my gut I couldn't get rid of. And then one day, like outside my mother-in-law's house, I was praying, and I went outside, sat in the car, and like I said, I couldn't shake this feeling. And I turned on the radio, and it was Tony Evans on the radio, pastor out of, I believe he's out of Dallas. Yeah, either Dallas or Houston. But he has a ministry for manhood, biblical manhood. And that was exactly like what I needed as far as my manhood search. So I started that search, and then I'm still continuing. That's going to be an everyday journey for any man. Just trying to align yourself with God's definition and God's expectation of you as a man, and especially with a wife and with children. So that journey's every day. I'll probably update y'all more and more with different video logs, but like that's ongoing. Like that's not going to end until it's my last day, my last breath. But yeah, that's where we are right now in a nutshell. Like I said, other videos will probably be more in depth, certain topics. My wife, of course, she's going to do her video logs, personal testimonies, womanhood, wife, like responsibilities. She has her checklist. But when she's ready, she'll start doing her videos. So then you got me, you got some of the kids' videos I've been putting up already, getting laughs out of those. And yeah, that's really all I got. Y'all have a good one.